Okay, I want to talk about, we're going to go back in time to the olden days. Back then, computers didn't have screens, there was no GNOME because there wouldn't be any point. And primitive humans had to navigate the file system using these commands like cp to copy a file or ls to list the files. And this excellent design got standardized in POSIX, and every Unix implementation did the same thing. So a fun fact, the reason it's only 2 letters in the command is because it had to be usable by actual dinosaurs. And they have a very small brain, so they can't remember a command that's 4 letters long. It has to be 2 letters. Anyway, the 90s thankfully arrived. The GNU project developed free versions of all of the excellent software that had been in Unix. The Bash package developed the famous shell that we love, and Coreutils holds these utilities like copy and move. And then, of course, being GNU, we added more utils and find utils and diff utils and sed and more things following the maximalist GNU philosophy. And we all lived happily ever after. So why is this relevant to GNOME? Well, GNOME actually ships Coreutils in a couple of places. The GNOME Flatpak SDK and Flatpak runtime contains a shell and contains the utilities, CP, MV, and so on. Adrian's pointed out maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe it shouldn't contain a shell by default. GNOME OS also has a shell and utilities. So until now, we've hard-coded use of GNU Coreutils that came in via Free Desktop SDK. So Free Desktop SDK has a stack called Runtime Minimal, which is like the most minimal thing you can have. It contains glibc, and then it contains Bash and Coreutils. So it doesn't matter what you want to build with Free Desktop SDK. If you want to have C programs, you're going to get a shell and utilities as well. Until now. So I've been working on a branch which hopefully is close to landing. I need to buy Javier more dinners, I think, before it will land. And in short, it removes Bash and Coreutils from runtime minimal. So that minimal stack no longer contains any shell or any utilities. And it adds a new runtime GNU stack, which contains Bash and Coreutils as before. So if you don't want any changes, you can just use the other stack. So why do we do this? Obviously Linux, I'm not going to say it, but there are various Coreutils implementations. So the embedded world for years has been using BusyBox, which is a very minimal implementation. If you have a smart light bulb, it's probably running BusyBox. There's also Toybox, which I'd love to tell the whole history of Toybox here, but I don't have time. Toybox has only one user, I think, but that user is Android, so it's probably the most widely deployed of any of these. And there's also now Ubuntu, in last year's release, switched to the Rust Coreutils implementation. They're funding development of this re-implementation of Coreutils in Rust, called UUtils. Your memory safety errors. So that's exciting to see. Maybe we'll want to switch to them in future. So what does this mean for you today? If you're a Flatpak user, it means absolutely nothing. You won't notice. We're not proposing any changes, so the Flatpak runtime will still have Bash and Coreutils. It's now possible to get rid of them or switch to a different implementation, so maybe one day that will happen, but certainly not today. If you are the lucky elite of people who use Free Desktop SDK via the Buildstream project, via a junction, then you'll notice that in the next release, runtime minimal doesn't have a shell and utilities anymore. Which is good, right? Because you can choose which one you want. When you integrate a system, you can say, I want Toybox instead, because I like to live dangerously, or I want to use the UUtils implementation. So either you can do that, or you can use the GNU stack. Of course, GNOME Build Meta have already done the necessary changes, but anyone else, talk to me, I'll do them for you as well. And that's everything I have to say. Thanks a lot for listening.